Hey guys, this is Omer from MMOs.com. Another quick week news recap of all major MMO news, and that's with the beginning February 18th, 2019. It's episode number 186 of the recap, and the first bit of news this week comes from COG Games regarding Kurtzpel. And we finally have a date for a closed beta, and that date is February 20th, 2019, which is this Wednesday. So closed beta runs from February 20th till the 25th, and the first batch of beta keys have already gone out, so check your emails if you signed up. Anyone with a closed beta key can redeem them on Steam on the Activate a Product page on Steam. Kurtzpel has changed a lot since alpha as well, and they released a lengthy closed beta patch notes earlier as well. I'm looking forward to trying this one, mainly because I'm not exactly sure what kind of game Kurtzpel is, but I'll find out soon enough. I don't think it's a typical instance dungeon persistent hub MMO, as the game labels itself as a 2v2 PvP game rather than a typical MMO, so I think PvP will play a much bigger part in the game. But we'll find out on Wednesday, and yes, I do intend on putting a first look for this one, so that should be up hopefully soon. Next up, Anthem finally launched this last week into early access, meaning anyone with the Origin Access or EA Access subscription can start playing the game right away, while everyone else needs to wait until the full launch on February 22nd. Interestingly though, despite it being a pretty big game launch, it never really made it to the top 2 most viewed games on Twitch. It was usually sitting at number 4, 5, or 6, at least as I checked at Twitch throughout the day. The game obviously had some launch issues with servers getting overwhelmed, but those quickly got worked out by the end of the day. While I've been super eager to check out Anthem myself, it looks absolutely gorgeous. Time will tell though if you can compete with similar games like Warframe or Destiny 2. Next up, a small update for Apex Legends. Last week I mentioned they hit 1 million concurrent players a few days after release, but on Monday, the day I put my video up, they came out and said they hit 2 million concurrent players, which is huge. Just to give you guys some context, PUBG peaked at 1 million players in the last 30 days, and it's not quite as big as Fortnite just yet, but it's actually growing at a much faster rate. It took Fortnite 16 weeks to hit 2 million concurrent users, while Apex did it in 1 week. Fortnite currently hits a peak player base of about 8.3 million, so Apex isn't anywhere close to Fortnite just yet, but it's doing amazing considering it's only about a week or so old. I've been playing a lot of Apex Legends myself personally, and I have over 25 hours in playtime already. If you haven't tried it yet, I do recommend checking it out. It's pretty fun. Next, let's run through some industry news. Activision Blizzard reported their Q4 earnings report this last week and confirmed that they're laying off about 8% of their employees, which is about 775 people. This led to a lot of backlash online because the company reported record revenues and profits for the year, but the company's stock price has tanked 50% since BlizzCon because of a poorly received Diablo Immortal, as well as some uninspiring new titles. More interestingly though, the company is doubling down on development of their existing franchises, and the development budgets should be going up by about 20%. So while they're cutting some staff, mostly in esports and publishing, they're hiring more game developers. And with the earnings report, you can see how profitable each of Activision Blizzard's business units are, which I think is actually pretty neat. Next up, Nexon also released their earnings report this last week, and the big highlights of the year were MapleStory's revenue surged 67% year over year thanks to the game's successful summer update in Korea, which is MapleStory 1 rather, and Dungeon Fighter Online's revenue increased double-digit percentages for the 3rd year in a row, and DFO remains the world's highest grossing MMORPG. Nexon also highlighted a bunch of upcoming games in their report with slides showing off Mabinogi Mobile, as well as Project BBQ, a PC-based Dungeon Fighter-like game. Project BBQ is one of the only PC MMORPGs in Nexon's pipeline, so I'm pretty hyped for that. I'm actually kind of hyped for Mabinogi Mobile too, because it's a mobile game that actually looks somewhat interesting. So for the year 2018, Nexon is still largely a PC and MMORPG company, so 78% of their revenues came from PC, while mobile made up only 22%, though they will obviously change in the near future as mobile is still slowly gaining share for Nexon. And moving right along, NCSoft also reported numbers this last week, and unlike Nexon, they are very much a mobile game company, and they showed off as usual how big each of the game franchises are doing, and spoilers, mobile still has huge revenues. NCSoft is actually doing phenomenal with their stock price hitting all-time highs lately. I found this slide to be particularly interesting because it gives us a high-level look at every NCSoft franchise year over year. While all the figures here in the images are in billions of wands, I covered them into USD. Mobile games brought in $810 million in 2018, while Lineage did about $133 million, while Guild Wars 2 did about $71 million. Unfortunately, I don't think NCSoft has any major PC MMOs in the pipeline, but they are working on dozens of mobile titles, including, I believe, 3 separate Blade and Soul mobile games. Yes, 3 separate Blade and Soul mobile games, which is pretty crazy, but they are going ham on mobile. And next up, speaking of mobile, Super Evil Megacorp's highly regarded mobile MOBA, Vainglory, just launched a PC client which is available on Steam for free. Vainglory is a bit of an oldie now as it released back in 2014, but it's one of the most popular MOBAs in the West, mobile MOBAs. The Steam version had 800 or so players online this last weekend as well, and I expect they'll continue to increase because the mobile version is still pretty popular. I expect that playing on the PC will be a big advantage over mobile, as Vainglory isn't a super basic MOBA. In fact, there's a lot of elements like last hitting, skill aiming, and whatnot, which makes it obvious that the PC players will have an advantage. And since it's cross-platform compatible, I expect that we'll see a lot of players playing on the PC when they're home at least. I'd actually like to see more PC clients for some of the more popular mobile games. I know Tencent's Arena of Valor has a PC client in China, and Moby's Final Fantasy actually has a PC client on Steam, and I think we'll be seeing a lot more of this in the near future. Next up, Daybreak Games announced their latest update for the superhero-themed MMORPG DC Universe Online titled Justice League Dark, which is launching on March 28th, 2019. The update features a bunch of new and returning heroes, as well as an entirely new zone, player rewards, including new gear, styles, artifacts, feats, and more. DC Universe is available on PC, PS4, and Xbox One, and apparently the update is launching on all platforms on the same day, which is great because a lot of these free-to-play games on consoles tend to update console versions a bit slower than the PC one. The PC version of the game is right now averaging about 540 or so players online at a given time, according to Steam charts, but I suspect that the game is more popular on consoles because it is listed as a top 10 free-to-play game on the PlayStation Store. Up next, Bless is launching a new update on February 20th, which is this Wednesday, which adds a new dungeon called Urdata War Fortress. It's a level 50 dungeon that players can enter once per week. The update also adds a bunch of new cosmetic items in the cash shop, but there's an even bigger update coming soon with a reveal for the update coming in next month's producer letter. While I'm not playing Bless anymore, I don't think many of you guys are either. The game still averages 640 or so players online on Steam, which is down 17% from last month and down from an average of 1550 from when the game went free to play back in November of 2018. What's weird is that the Western version still doesn't have the Mystic class, and I remember playing the Russian version like 2 years ago, and that had the Mystic version already. So the Western version is super slow with new updates, and is still extremely buggy and laggy. I'm obviously not optimistic about Bless at all, especially with the Unreal Engine 4 powered version of the game launching on consoles in the near future, but the PC version of Bless right now is pretty duke. Next up, Final Fantasy XIV released patch 4.55, which added a new Eureka zone called Hydatos this week, which is the final conclusion of the Eureka storyline. The most interesting part of the new Eureka zone is that it includes a new dungeon called the Baldacian Arsenal, which is a 54-player raid and also the first dungeon in Eureka, and it's also the last, unfortunately, because the storyline there is over now. Other parts of patch 4.55 include new housing content, a new 48-player PvP map called the Hidden Gorge, new triple triad cards, new music, bug fixes, and more. While everyone is still excited for Shadowbringers, which launched on July 2nd, there's still content in the pipeline between now and then. Anyway, guys, the next and last bit of news this week comes from a Minecraft-inspired MMO called Citywars Savage, which is launching in December of 2019. I actually never heard of this one until this week, but it's been in development since 2017, apparently. The game already has a Steam page up and is based on the popular Minecraft server and will feature open-ended gameplay as players gather resources, craft weapons, fight enemies, build entire cities. No word on the game's business model just yet, but I do suspect it'll be a buy-to-play game. Given the current market, though, for Minecraft-like games, I'm not optimistic on this one. I know Hytale is coming really soon, and that looks really great. Still, it looks like there's something here. The game is probably going to release eventually. But anyway, guys, that's it for MMO News this week. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the podcast. Later, guys.